Tell me the reasons authors write.
It's
What's the
pie,
purpose?
isn't it?
Okay? What's one of the purposes authors write something?
It's like pie.
Persuade. God. It's
So they're trying to
pie.
persuade. That's
It's
one of the
pie.
reasons. Okay?
Yeah, I just said it's pie.
What else?
Inform.
Inform.
Educate.
Entertain.
Oh, entertain. Pie.
It's pie. How do we get that in a row for pie?
Well, that's how we were taught.
I know. But like,
In fourth grade.
What else?
Oh,
Educate. Explain the story.
Pie is
Describe.
you just got pie.
pie.
You just got
Okay?
pie.
These are the reasons authors write. Now, a person that does a satire, they're trying to what?
Entertain.
Inform.
entertain.
A little trying to like
Inform and do that. Do the same.
Explain. Describe.
Do the same.
describe something that is none of them.
Persuade means you're trying to do what?
Like make
Persuade
Sway them to your side.
You can't use a part of the word to define the word.
Maybe they just
Making them join something that you'll
To
like.
your
You're
side.
trying to convince somebody. You're trying to change somebody's opinion. That's what persuade is. Satirists are trying to do that. They're trying to persuade you that this issue needs to be what?
dealt with.
Fixed, dealt with. Okay? That's what the point of a cartoon is. Cartoonists, what's their point?
Entertain.
Their point is to entertain. Now, even if whatever the author does, can it do more than one of these things?
Yes.
Of course it can, but that's not the same as the author's purpose. The purpose is the reason I want to make this. That's my purpose. So, inform, this is like your what?
About stuff that's happening.
My purpose right,
Newspaper.
my purpose right now for you guys, I write all this down, I'm an author now, because I'm writing stuff. If you write down stuff, you're what? Author. My purpose is to inform you. I'm informing you about what?
Satires and the pie.
I'm informing you about author's purposes.
It's so
Okay? Your textbook is giving you what?
Information.
Information. Textbook writers are, their reason for writing is to inform. Can it have some of this other stuff in it? Yes, but their main reason is to inform, okay? People that explain things, okay? This is like, I told you last Friday or Monday, my wife went to the car wash and punched in the code, and what happened?
We're not gonna roll up.
The window didn't roll up. So I needed to figure out, either take it to a car mechanic who would charge $800 to fix it, or I needed to what?
Buy stuff on Amazon.
I need to figure it out. Now, I don't know how that works, so I need to what?
Look it up.
I need to go read about an author that what?
Those are
Explains it to me. And now that's easier because they also do it how?
YouTube.
With a video. So you can actually watch the guy do it. But a YouTube video is an author. You post something on the YouTube, you are a what? You're an author. So that's explaining. That's how to do something. If you do a cookbook, I tell you a recipe how to make this wonderful frozen pizza that I'm good at. Anybody else know how to make frozen pizza?
No, it's actually really hard.
Yeah.
Like
My cousin-
Are you telling me some of you don't know how to make a frozen pizza?
It's easy.
It's so easy.
What's a
Okay.
frozen pizza?
It's just
Frozen pizza, you take it out of the freezer,
Put it in an oven.
you heat up the oven to what the temperature says, you put it in the oven, and you look at this, says to do it for 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever, and you do it.
I just go Pizza Hut.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But you can buy a Jack's Pizza for $1.88 at Hy-Vee this week.
Or $5.
There's my commercial.
Or you could just go to somewhere and get
I went through college living on Jack's Pizza. Okay? Now,
Caesar.
describe, that's different. Okay? Describe means you want to give your viewer or your reader a picture. That's your sole purpose. So if I was a single guy and I go to one of these dating sites, I'm gonna what? I'm gonna write down all these characteristics of me so the person on the other side, what? Will know what I look like and what I like. Okay? So I can be matched up. So I'm describing myself. There's probably a little what in there too.
Catfish.
Persuade, because I'm persuading them that what?
And it ain't working.
You need to go out with me. I mean, wow.
Yeah, Lucy.
Now, let's get back to this. Since we established whoever did this, they want to do what? They want to persuade us about something. What's the issue or what's the person they're trying to persuade us about?
Robberies and murders and robbers.
Police.
Robertos.
Okay? Violence or terrorism?
The FBI.
Okay?
Should be arrested.
Bringing that to our attention?
The police should be arrested.
That's what the progressives were. Okay? That's why they use pictures like this to do it. Because people can look at this picture. See, but you have to know, if you're looking at the picture, the reason the author is doing this is why. We just said it. Why is he doing this?
Oh, to inform them.
He's trying to persuade me.
Persuade you, yeah.
Or she's trying to persuade me. Don't mean to be sexist here. That could be another issue we bring up, right? Did somebody else turn in another satire that I missed?
No, you did not. Yes, I did.
Ryder,
You win.
Mikey,
Oh, no.
Lewis, Ewan,
My name.
Joey,
That's
I
my
gotta even 1% on that.
Yeah, right.
Lucy.
What voice? Oh my god.
Mikey, here's your other one.
I got one.
I did too.
Emily, Andrew, Lucy, Lily.
Mr. Hell, I have a question. At what point in my life will I need to know all the questions?
I didn't get 100, but
When you're driving in Northeast Minneapolis.
I just
Clara, Christian, Grayson.
Will we have to know all of them by this year?
Yeah.
What if I go to one of these Minneapolis?
Rihanna,
What if I go to the
Avery, Bella, Ben, Greta.
Who was it? Did you just guess?
I just wrote your questions down.
See, I got to hear it.
What is it? What were the three answers? I was close enough.
Benjamin Harrison was the first president
But I put
to
John.
have electricity.
John, I put down John Van.
First president born was it Martin Van Buren? And first president to ride in an automobile,
Grover Cleveland? No.
William
James Garfield.
McKinley.
Oh. Of course it was William McKinley.
I guess I'm for the first one.
Open your book to page 667.
Oh my gosh, I did open up to it.
test is February 17th.
All right, thank you.
Wait, what page did you say open up to?
667.
Okay, thanks. I don't know if we.
Emily, for a check or a service?
Check.
I'm gonna change question number 1 to this. What are political machines and what's their main goal?
Powerful organizations. That's not the easy.
This assignment was already, so this is the new assignment. Okay? That's the new assignment. The other assignment was to read to this page, so you guys should know these answers, right? So what's a political machine?
Powerful organizations that use.
In your own words, Greta.
They use legal methods to elect public officers.
What's the goal of a politician?
Persuasion.
Convince
Money.
someone else that something else, that
Persuade.
something's right.
A lot of them are money.
What's the goal of a politician?
Supposed to represent the people.
We talked about the populace, which was a political party for who?
The farmers.
Farmers. The goals, we said, is called a what? Platform.
Yeah.
So basically, the goal of a political party or a politician is to get their platform what? Succeeding. Now, how do you do that?
By making people vote for
You gotta win
the people.
elections. Because the overall goal is to control the government. So the big thing about this last election, okay, wasn't just that we got a new president from a different party, was now the Senate and the House are under the control of what? The same party as the president, okay? So the Democratic Party right now in our country has what? Has control. That means they can do what? They can get their platform done. Now, the question that is in the papers and stuff now is, are they just gonna do it their own way, or are they gonna try to get what? This term, bipartisan. Bipartisan means what? Bi means what? Whenever you see that word, bi in the prefix, you always know it means what?
Two.
Bi means two, like if you're bilingual, that means what? Two languages. If I'm bigamous, that means what? Means I'm married to two women.
What?
Okay? So bi means two. Bicycle means what? Two wheels. Okay? So whenever you see bi, you know it's two. So here, bipartisan means what?
Two parties?
Two parties. So when they say something bipartisan, the Democrats could just push everything they want through and just ignore who? Republicans. Because they have enough votes. Because the Senate's a tie. And who breaks the tie? So if 50 senators vote one way and 50 senators vote another way, who breaks the tie?
It's the vice president.
The president of the Senate, who is who?
The vice president.
The vice president. Who is which party?
Democrat.
So the Democrats actually have control. So if they want to, they can ignore totally what the Republicans want. What's the danger in that?
Riots. Split.
Okay, first of all, we know our country is very divided. And as a senator, just because I'm a Democrat, I'm not just representing who? I'm just not representing the Democrats in my district. I'm representing who? Everybody. That's what they should be, okay? Now, here's what happened in this time period. You had politicians that weren't really concerned about the people. They were just concerned about who?
Money.
Themselves, money. So these party machines, okay, were parties, and usually it was more at the local level, like cities. And if you could get control of the city politics, then you can get whatever your goals are. And there's lots of, the thing about government, there's lots of what involved. You know that government spends the most and is the biggest employer in the country? Okay? Is there some debate here, Ben? Is that a
Yes.
debate you were having?
What about Google?
Was this a debate you were having?
Kind of.
Not really a debate, kind of
So,
a suing, maybe?
there's all this money, and when there's money, there's also an option for what? Corruption.
A lot of money.
Okay? And the period we're talking about, there was a lot of corruption. So, party machines then controlled the city government so that they could control the money. So, like a city has to have a contract to get something done. So if I'm a politician and I'm gonna hire a contractor to get something done, and I'm a corrupt politician, what can I do?
Make them do it. Illegally.
So let's say to put a road in cost $1 million.
It's a lot.
But I do the contract and I say it's gonna cost what?
Half of that?
$2 million.
Oh.
Ah.
Now, between the contractor and me, we have what? I have $1 million, because it only costs $1 million to do it. But we're gonna charge the taxpayers, everybody else, what? $2 million, because we're gonna make them think it's cost $2 million. So that means I have $1 million, we can do what? We can pocket that between us. That's what the party machines did. Okay? They were corrupt organizations that controlled city politics, and the way they controlled it was by how? Winning elections. And how did they get their votes? We already talked about this last chapter. Many of their votes came from who? Ben?
Immigrants.
Immigrants coming in.
Dead people.
And the immigrants, they're coming in, they don't know whether you're what? Corrupt or not. They just know you did what? You helped them get a
Home.
home or a job. So as soon as that guy helped me get a home or a job, he's what? He's my guy. I'm gonna vote for him. And I'm gonna tell all my family and all my other people that are coming from my country, what? Vote for this guy. He gave me a job and got me a place to stay. So this guy now, if he's corrupt, he's now in power, and he can use that power to be dishonest and steal money, okay? So the main goal of political machines is the goal really of all politics, which is what?
Get money. Control
Government
government.
control.
Control the government, because when you control the government, you can either, even if you're honest and you control the government, you're gonna do what?
Good.
Be good.
You're gonna get your platform done. If you're dishonest and you control the government, you're gonna what?
Get money.
You're gonna get rich.
Oh no.
And hopefully not what?
Correct.
Get caught. Because throughout history, we're gonna see many of these politicians, they what? They got caught. One B, why do you think some immigrants supported political machines? Well, we kinda answered that. Why is it?
Because they got
help them.
a job.
Because they gave the immigrants things they needed, right? Now, there were two systems of getting jobs that we should know about in government. There's two types of philosophy. One is called the spoil system, or sometimes that's called the patronage system. And the other is called the merit system. This comes from the quote, "To the victor belongs the spoils." What does that mean?
The defeat.
If I won, so like, on Sunday night, when the Chiefs beat the Buccaneers, the victory, what's the spoils? The Super Bowl trophy. Have you guys ever watched the end of that, how they treat that like an idol? They worship it, they come down and people do what as it goes by? They kiss it, they do it homage. You guys notice that? Because that's the value of what? The world says that's the epitome, right? So, the victor belongs to spoils. Well, that applies to government. So if a guy wins the election, he should be able to put who in the jobs? Whoever he wants. Who's gonna put in the jobs in the system? You're gonna put your patrons. You know what a patron is?
People you serve.
People that supported you. Your friends. People that sent you cash. Because when a politician is elected, there's hundreds of jobs to fill. Like President Biden, he's got to fill a whole cabinet. You know how many cabinets heads there are?
A lot.
There are
One
15
per person.
cabinet heads, and then within each cabinet, you know how many jobs there are? Hundreds. There's literally thousands of jobs when a new president is elected that change, just in the government. Now, under this system, I'm gonna give it to my friends and supporters. What's the problem with this system?
Corrupt.
Shouldn't you?
They might not be qualified.
Okay, so under this system, you give it based on qualifications. And usually, it's like you have to take classified jobs, classified. You guys know what a classified job is?
The job that you think is hard then.
Some people think, oh, that's classified, you think it's what?
You can know
Secret,
about it.
can't know
It's top
anything.
secret type of thing. That's not what a classified job is. You know what a classified job is? It's a job you have to take a test for. So if I want to be a postal employee, my son signed up to be a postal employee when he got back from riding his motorcycle across Central America till the borders all started closing. So he said, I'm gonna come back and I'll be a postal employee. To be a postal employee, what do you gotta do? Take a test. If you pass the test, what? And they have jobs open, you're what? You're in. Postal employee's a classified job. Okay? It's a federal job, right? The reason they want you to take a test is why?
If you're qualified.
They want you to be qualified to do the job. So that's the difference in the merit system versus the spoil system. Can a person in the patronage system be qualified?
Yeah.
Yes, but that's not a prerequisite. The prerequisite for this is their what? What's the prerequisite for this?
Friends or supporters.
Yeah. They were my friends, so I'm gonna. The danger again, the danger is they're not qualified to do the job. Either one though, you're not sure what can't you test for.
Corruption.
You can't really test for honesty and corruption. And that was the problem with some of these leaders, that they picked people who were what? Corrupt. Their friends were corrupt, like President Harding, we're gonna learn about, had a very corrupt administration. Even though President Harding, he might have been totally honest so if a president is totally honest, it doesn't matter if the people under him what?
Or
If they're not, who gets blamed? President. President looks dishonest, okay, and corrupt. So which one do you think? So this was the Pendleton Act set up this. Would set up the Civil Service Commission and a civil service job. Basically, a civil service job is just what kind of a job?
so.
A government job. So a civil servant's a government official. I used to be a civil servant because I was a teacher in the public school. Who paid my salary? Okay, the government did. I'm not a civil servant anymore. For the last 33 years, I'm not. Who pays my salary?
School.
You guys do. We do. And the parish of St. Joe's does. Number 2A, who knows that? Who's with me? Who read it? Ooh, only one. Now we get back here. Well, I hope he doesn't call me. What's a muckraker? Is that a cool name? Got some cool names in this. You got muckrakers, you got mugwumps. Muckrakers, mugwumps. These are names that people thought they were bad names, and they liked the names, so they kept it.
Muckraker exposed the filth of society or the muck.
So these guys were writers. And their job was to rake up the muck. What's muck?
Dirt,
Dishonest.
leaves, stuff like that.
Anybody been to the Minnesota Wildlife Refuge down here by the Minnesota River? I took my sons when they were really little, and there's a walking path down under there, but they got son of bogs. You guys didn't go to the bog like last year, did you? Or did you? Well, the bog is an area of water that's what?
Brown, dirty, muddy.
It's really mucky. It's brown because it doesn't move anywhere.
Hard the
It stinks.
laser.
And what he did, he started running. I think he was about a second grade. He started running, and the hill was sideways. And you just watched him. And he went right into the bog, flat. Then he came out, and he smelled so terrible that I didn't even want to put him in the van. So we actually had to go back to the restroom, try to wash him down, put him under the hair dryers, and we asked him for a couple garbage bags. One garbage bag to throw all his clothes in, the other garbage bag we stuck a couple holes in, and we had to go home in the garbage bag. You don't want to fall in the bog because it's full of muck and it stinks. The worst stink you ever can think of. That's why they're called muckrakers. They're saying they're going to rake up all that stink. That's what?
Hiding.
Okay, the dishonesty, the bad things that are going on in our world. We want to read about a couple of them. Upton Sinclair was one of them. Let's read about his book, The Jungle, on page 669. Who wants to read? Who said?
Lily.
So Lucy volunteered?
No, Gianna said that Lily wanted to.
It was was it Lucy or Gianna?
It's Gianna.
It was Gianna? Okay, Gianna. Remember, that's Mr. Hell's rule. Mr. Hell's rule is what?
You volunteer them.
If you volunteer somebody, you're the volunteer.
I've never heard that rule before.
Really? Now you know it. Now you know it.
Well, you know.
It's 669.
669. So this is an excerpt from his book, The Jungle. Go ahead and read it. Read the summary first.
Like, about the reading?
Yeah.
Okay. About the reading, the jungle focused the nation's attention on immigrant workers in the meatpacking industry. Upton
Sinclair.
novel showed bosses forcing human beings to live and work like animals. He also described in shocking detail how meat was handled. Sinclair published his book in 1906. Later that same year, the U.S. government passed the Pure Food and Drug Act and Meat Inspection Act. Many Americans even gave up eating meat for a while.
So they read this book, and it was so profound on them, they quit eating meat. How many would quit eating meat? Any vegetarians in here?
June was a
Okay,
vegetarian.
let's read what he wrote. This is just like one little section. Go ahead.
There was never the least attention paid to what was cut up from sausage and would come back from Europe old sausage that had been borax and
No, you skipped a line there.
okay. Has been rejected and was moldy and white, or it would be dosed with borax and I don't know.
Glycerine.
Glycerin and dumped into hoppers, and made over again in the home consumption. There would be meat in the tumbled that had tumbled out on the floor, and the dirt sawdust where the workers had trampled and spit uncounted billions of consumption germs. There would be meat stored in the great piles in the room with water with leaking roofs that would drip over it. Thousands of rats would race around it, and it was too dark. It was too dark in these storage places to see well. The men would run their hands over these piles of meat and scoop off handfuls of dried dung of rats. These rats were
Nuisances.
nuisances, and the packers would be poisoning right out of them, and they would die. The rats bred and meat. You go to the hoppers again, and they were placed for the men to wash their hands before they ate dinner, so that they would made a practice washing them boiling water, and there'd be lots ladled into sausages.
So you have these big hoppers, basically big containers that they're making these sausages out of. And what's going into it?
Moldy sausage and wrapped up. Dry.
So this is only like one paragraph. So the whole book was full of instances like this. I could see why the consumption of meat, what?
Went down.
So you went to the grocery store and you bought meat, you'd probably be thinking, what?
Somebody could drive
Where did
down.
this come from? How was it processed? What did
is
they
it?
do about it? Okay? Let's read about this other, okay? How the other half lives, from Jacob Riss. How the other half lives describes the tenement houses where immigrants lived in New York City. Remember what a tenement was?
Yep.
Okay? Its author, Jacob Riss, was a newspaper reporter. His nonfiction book made Americans aware of the extremes of poverty suffered by working people. He believed that every human being deserved a decent, safe place to live. How the other half lives led to reforms and new laws that improved housing conditions. Cherry Street. Be a little careful, please. The hall is dark, and you might stumble over the children pitching pennies back there. Not that it would hurt them. Kicks and cuffs are their daily diet. What's a cuff?
Punches in the ear.
Okay. They have little else. Here, where the hall turns and dives into utter darkness, is a step and another and another. A flight of stairs. You can feel your way if you cannot see it. Close, yes. What would you have? All the fresh air that ever enters these stairs comes from the hall door that's forever slamming, and from the windows of dark bedrooms that in turn receive from the stairs their sole supply of the elements God meant to be free. What's that mean? What elements did God mean to be free? Air and light. That was a woman feeling her pail by the hydrant you just bumped against. The sinks are in the hallway. That all the tenements may have access, and all be poisoned alike by their summer stenches. Hear the pump squeak. It's the lullaby of tenement house babies. In summer, when 1,000 thirsty throats pant for a cooling drink in this block, it has worked in vain. What does that mean? They run out of what? Water. The sea of a mighty population held in galling fetters heaves uneasily in the tenements. If it rise once more, no human power may avail to check it. The gap between the classes in which it surges, unseen, unsuspected by the thoughtless, is widening day by day. I know of but one bridge that will carry us over safe, a bridge founded upon justice and built of human hearts. So it was writers, these writers that exposed, okay? What are they exposing?
Wealth of society.
Okay, bad conditions, corruption, that brought public attention then to some of these problems. Who are our mugrakers of today?
Whistleblowers.
Detectives.
You turn on the TV, there's 100, well, not 100, but there's lots of different shows like 2020 and Dateline, and they're all trying to do what? They're trying to expose bad things that are happening in the world. So the muckrakers were some of the first to do it. How did the progressives try to improve education? Laws that who should go to school?
Child.
Everybody. Okay? Unheard of because most of the lower class at that time were what?
High school, teenagers.
What were they doing?
Working.
They're working in the factories, 12, 14 hours a day. The only people that weren't working in the factories is who?
Little kids. Like tiny, like firstborns.
Injured people, people who can't.
The rich, okay? If you were poor, you were where?
Factory.
You were working in the factory.
I thought they were working for this kind.
What progressive reform do you think was the most important? That sounds like an essay question, huh? Hint, hint. 3A, what new ideas and practices were introduced to give voters more power? There are 3 amendments in this chapter. The 16th, the 17th, and the 18th. Oh, and the 19th too, there's 4. Who knows what they are?
I know the 17th allowed them to vote directly for US senators.
Okay? You notice whose goal was that? We just studied last time.
Oh, yeah.
Whose goal was that? The populace. We weren't a major party, but we're gonna see a lot of their platform got accomplished. 16th was another one. Graduated what? Income tax. That means you pay based on what?
The money you get.
The money you get. The 18th Amendment outlawed what?
Slavery.
The sale of alcohol.
Outlawed alcohol. The 19th Amendment did what?
Allowed women to vote.
Women's suffrage. Suffrage is what?
Working.
Right to
Labor.
vote. So if you don't know all these terms and you don't know these amendments, you should be doing what? You should be writing these down. I realize government is not the most exciting thing that happened in history.
We should go back to ancient
Okay.
civilizations.
Yeah, that was the best.
Yeah, that was good.
It actually passed those tests.
Like the
But a lot of what we have today are because of what the people did back then. What period are we talking about?
1800s, 1900s.
Okay, the end of the 1800s to the beginning of the 1900s. And the groups that did this were called what?
Progressives.
Progressives. So the reformers are called progressives. So your assignment is to read those pages, which is section 2. Oh, I got section 2 and 3 worksheet here. Maybe we're gonna read together. Did I get behind? I guess you're only gonna do section 2. Cause section 3, you will have to eventually do this, so if you wanna be ahead, you could read. But the one due then is section 2, distance limiters, so disregard what I have on Google Classroom, where you're supposed to do both pages. The bad news is if you're not watching this video, you're gonna do both pages anyway. In fact, I think Maddie already did both pages. Maddie, you're ahead of everybody. Everybody say, good job, Maddie.
Good job, Daddy.
We're communicating. Whether she's watching the video, that's the question.
Probably not.
I know Allison watches the videos.
Allison
Hi,
watches every single
Allison.
video.